Oh, welcome to Reading Sprints, Writing Sprints, whatever you're doing. I'm so glad to be doing it on Saturday this week because it meant I was able to ask Elizabeth to join me. It's so nice to see your face. It's nice to be able
Yeah.
to talk to you. I've been kind of following your updates on social media recently. I was like, oh man, we just need to chat. I think I put that one of your YouTube videos the other day. It's like I need to actually be able to interact with your
Yeah.
face, please.
Yeah. So nice that we can finally catch up. I know we've both been busy and all the things. So super happy we could do this today.
Yeah, summer's been kind of weird. Obviously you've kind of been recovering, and I've just been doing what I do, which seems to be just like paddling frantically under the water. Although I don't know whether you saw, I had 2 really nice weeks in Florida, so that was
Yes.
so good.
Yeah, I
So
was
not
I
real,
was
not
following your
relaxed.
updates. That was amazing.
It was really nice. We've obviously been quite a few times as adults, and I think as adults you just kind of pelt from ride to ride, and you don't really look at stuff and take it in. And having a tiny person there going, whoa, look at that big pumpkin, and whoa, look at this, and oh, I really like that, and can we go in there, and can we do that? And it just kind of reinvigorated the Disney magic. So that was really nice. And Epic Universe, you've got to go to Dark Universe.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. I'm gonna I'll send you some of the videos, but basically you walk in and it's Universal Monsters based. So you see Frankenstein and Frankenstein's monster and Bride of Frankenstein kind of to one side, and then the Invisible Man's wandering around like all wrapped in bandages, and Igor's wandering around talking to
Oh my
people.
God, that sounds amazing.
Oh, there's a restaurant where you get your drink in kind of a potions bottle and have this amazing food that's all kind of blood themed or something spooky. And I ordered a garlic bread steak, so it comes out like this kind of twisted bread in the shape of a
Nice.
vampire steak. It was, and then the ride was so. There are two rides. I didn't go on the roller coaster because I'm a scaredy cat, but there's this kind of immersive monsters ride where you're sitting on a row of seats and the monsters are all unleashed, and then you're just kind of rocking around and being thrown in front of all these monsters. It's just,
God,
yeah,
that sounds
very, very cool.
amazing.
Yeah, and then at the same place, there's a Super Mario World, so perfect for a 5-year-old. And then the Dart bit perfect for me. And I was like, oh, Kev needs like a Goonies World or something just to round it off. But I think he enjoyed the whole thing. It so happened that those two worlds were fully targeted at two members of our family.
That sounds so good. I'm so glad you could do that because like it's been a busy year for you and just kind of go and unwind.
Yeah, it was nice. It was kind of really busy and go, 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 but I didn't take a laptop with me, which is big news for me. And in an evening, we were just so tired. We generally went to bed when little person did. So, or I stayed up for 10 minutes and then followed. So yeah, and we went to Barnes and Noble. Do you have Barnes and Noble in Canada?
No, we have Indigo here, which is kind of like our
Okay.
Barnes and Noble. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, Barnes and Noble is just so much bigger because I know it's owned by the same company as Waterstones now, but it's so much bigger than any Waterstones I've seen. Just your average Barnes and Noble is just absolutely like the horror section is huge. I mean, the romance section, I filmed it. Not that I don't read that much romance, but just to show the scope of it, it was like as big as some bookshops I've been in the UK.
Oh
Like
wow.
so many shelves. So yeah, that was really cool. I said I was just gonna bob into it quickly, and like 2 hours later, my son and my husband were like, "Can we go
Can
somewhere
we
else?"
go, please?
I mean, Nathan, up to a point, he'll look at the kids' books and he'll play with the toys and stuff, but he was like, I'm so bored of looking at horror books. And I was like, I'm not. I managed to get Slewfoot. It's so hard to get Slewfoot in the UK. And I got it half price. I was like, this is just
I still have
awesome.
Slewfoot on my shelf, and I vowed I am reading it this October. I vowed.
Maybe we should read it together. Should we do a buddy read in October and like
Yeah, I
finally
think
read
that would be
the book?
awesome. I haven't announced this yet, but I wanted to do Witches in October.
Ah, cool.
Um, for one, because I wanted to read Slewfoot, but it's almost like every month I've been doing a little bit of a theme. Like we're in Vamptember now.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to follow it up with witches. And all summer I was doing ghosts. So I was like, it just kind of falls in line. So yeah, if you're up for a buddy read, it's perfect because I really need to get to it.
That'd be amazing. My reading has been terrible this year, and I think it's because I'm now working like freelance a lot of the time, and
Mhm.
then some more formal days. Um, but I'm still like figuring out where reading fits into it, and I just seem to be working whenever I'm sitting down. So reading's just kind of gone, phew, and I'm writing or I'm editing or whatever.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, I
I'm
need to
finding the
figure
same
out how.
thing.
How do you like, where does reading fit in a really
You
busy
know,
life?
I've been having it's been really hard because like I don't even have children. Like it's just me and Matthew. But it's like, you know, my mom and dad are here now. So between spending time with them, adult jobs as we're talking about, and they just keep giving me promotions. So I'm like, you know, I have all of these new things that I have to try to balance. And then the videos and like, you know, it's like the actual reading does kind of fall to the wayside. But I think the biggest thing with me was because I wasn't feeling well for much of this year and
Mm.
much of last
Yeah.
year. It just like when I don't feel well, I can't get into my books.
Yeah.
And so I found that's kind of picked up a little bit, but really, and I know it's one of those things as booktubers, like it's part of it that you have to get the reading done. But like I've only read 24 books this year, which most people be like, oh my God, you know, 24 books. But as a booktuber, like usually I'm up around like 60 or 70 by this point.
Yeah, I mean, I started off when I started doing BookTube, I was reading maybe 2 books a week. So multiply that out like 8 a month and so on. And now I'm sometimes reading 2 books a month, and I'm like, I don't even know, I can't really explain this. But I think, yeah, part of it for me is that, I had a child and my work situation's changed a lot, and I'm trying to juggle just a lot of things. And I think you might sit down 15 minutes and make a piece of social media, and then you sit down and film a YouTube video, and that takes 20 minutes, say. And then I'm like, oh, that's half an hour I could have been reading, but I was like talking about the reading that I'm not doing.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And it's kind of that weird balance that you're trying to achieve. But I found that trying to take even little chunks, because before I used to take a big chunk, say an hour and a half, but now it's got to be like 15 minutes to 30
Mm.
minutes that I'm doing it. But I find incorporating that now, knowing that I can't sit down for an hour, it all adds up. But then of course, like I have to turn to audiobooks a lot of the time because of like my commute back and forth is almost an hour each way. And so why shouldn't I be reading during that? And I know people have the whole thing, oh, audiobooks shouldn't be considered reading, which I don't
Oh
believe
no,
at all.
no.
Um,
You're still
but
consuming a book, however it gets into your brain.
exactly. You still consume the material the way the author means for you to consume the
Yeah,
material.
exactly.
And so I've been reading less physical books, but if I'm sticking to my audio and then my Kindle at night, which I can read in bed without my glasses, I find, you know, even if I do the 15 minutes, I'm like, just do the 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a full hour, you know, and I'm plugging away at it.
Yeah, I just realized as you were saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, commute, because I don't have much of a as much of a commute as I used to. I mean, I used to work 5 days a week at somewhere 40 minutes away, so that's where the books add up because you're listening to that all the time.
Yeah.
And also when I was breastfeeding, which I did for a good long time, I would read my Kindle because it would take him ages and he'd kind of fall asleep on me. So that was probably like half an hour to an hour a
Yeah.
day of designated kind of reading and cuddle time that I'm now not doing. So yeah, I think that you don't realize like the times of day because some of those things like just end and then you're like, oh, I haven't actually found that space elsewhere. And I feel better when I'm reading a lot. I feel more relaxed and I
Yeah.
feel like productive. I think I can tell when I'm a bit stressed. I'm like, how many books have I read this month? Is the 6th month I've read zero, and I can tell.
Well, and I find the same thing too. And it's like, because I'm a project manager at work. So it's just, especially during campaign season, which is going to start gearing up here now. Um, it's so hard when I come home from the day. I'm just exhausted and I just want to sit in front of the TV and watch something mindless. But then I don't have that stress relief. Like I need to dive into a book to completely escape instead
Mm.
of sitting in front of the TV and still thinking about work. And I'm also a workaholic. Like Matthew
Me
says,
too.
like you do everything 120%. So he's like, you come home and you work for another 5 hours. And instead of doing that, maybe come home, work for an hour, and then still get your reading and still shoot your videos and that sort of thing. So hard though.
It is, and I'm the same. Like I could edit a book once and then hand it into my editor, and I'm like, no, I'm probably going to edit it 5 times and then maybe read it one more time just to check. And I think that it results in what I'm happy with and what I feel is good quality, but it kind of, yeah, it does suck everything else. I think I've spent most this year editing Dracula. That's I keep calling it Dracula, Day and the Night. Um, and every time I kind of start something else, another round of edits would appear. So I think that
Yeah.
that's what I've now that that's coming out soon, I'm a bit like, oh, I can move on to another book now. I love this book, but I do need to work on something else.
Yeah.
So I think last time we spoke, were you thinking of doing some writing, starting to write, or is that
I
just kind
was,
of...
and there's so much in my head. And again, it's almost like every time I find my footing, something changes, whether it's a life thing or a health thing or a work thing or whatever, and it throws everything off. So I'm hoping now that I've got the health thing taken care of, and coming out of that whole situation, because that was over a year where it got really bad. And, I've kind of found my footing where I am in work. I mean, I might walk in on Monday and they give me another role or something, but I'm hoping for the end of this year into next year, I can really start. And again, it has to be that kind of like, I can't sit down and do it for an hour or 2 hours. Maybe it's a half an hour here and a half an hour there, do some notes, write down your ideas, and it will develop over time. So I think I have to apply the same kind of logic.
Yeah, that's how I still write, just because I don't write full time in a day now. If I'm having a writing day where I'm not actually going out anywhere to work, I'm still probably only writing my own books for 1 or 2 hours, and I'm doing these other freelance roles that I just have to do alongside. So I do literally sit and go, okay, 1 hour of my work in progress, go, and I just have to work as hard as I can for that hour. And then it's like, right, other paid work, go, get on with that. And then I maybe can come back to my other thing later. So whereas I think friends that are full-time authors, their day is a lot slower, and kind of like, I've got a friend, say, Cynthia, who she starts off the day like listening to podcasts and stuff to kind of get her writing juices flowing. And I know my friend Mia reads a lot to do that, and she kind of like starts, and makes a nice breakfast and stuff and gets herself into it. Whereas I'm like, drop somebody off at school and I've got to get straight on. Like, I kind of can't do any of the creative juice flowing stuff, like that. They've just got to be there and I've just got to go. And but sometimes it's hard.
Yeah, and I do find, like, I've been making it a priority to get back to my activity level too. So I've been doing this 30-day walking challenge that I just came up with myself. Cool. And I find that act of just the 30 minutes in the morning of get your butt out of bed and go out for your walk, get some fresh air, and you're starting to think about those things. It's, even though it's only been a week that I've been doing it, it's kind of starting to change that mindset and get me out of that go all the time. Because it is a goal for me. It like BookTube, my writing, and trying to start the podcast that I've been trying to start for 2 years are priorities, and I need to start making them priorities.
Yeah, and I think my brain is exactly the same as yours. I think it's always going 1,000 miles an hour. What do I need to work on? I'm sitting still. I could be writing a social media post right now. I'm sitting still. Oh, I could just send this email. And it's like, actually, all those things can wait. Like tonight, I'm determined I'm going to do some Lego. I've got this haunted house Lego set that is incredible. I'm going to try and show you if I can fit it on the screen. It's like this big. And I'm like, right, I'm going to do one sprint of try and get loads of stuff done. And then I'm going to, in the second sprint, start the Lego. And I'm just going to have to force myself to have fun. It's come to that. Like, yeah, I don't know how people do it. Yeah, I don't know how people relax.
But I even just said to Matt before I came down, because after this, like, I had all of these plans and then movie night. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm just going to chill. And because, I'm going to end up driving myself into the ground and burning out. And I know you will too. So.
Well, you're in recovery as well. Like, you are still really recently out of, like, a big thing. And it's kind of remembering that this is, and above all of the times, it's a good time for you to reset and kind of rethink about what your priorities are.
Yes.
And I think sometimes the way we live, like, we run so fast at everything and so hard, and it's like at some point one of those things you've just got to kind of let fall to the wayside. And like, exercise is the thing that I've really neglected. And before we went on holiday, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I turned 40 last year, and I'm like, I can't be 40 and like my joints are going to start going and like my muscles are going to start going. I literally can't just neglect that anymore. Like, I noticed like my metabolism slowing down and stuff, and I'm like, I actually need to. So I've started yoga again and doing this really intense, crazy exercise class for half an hour where you go full pelt, but it's really good for me because it's half an hour and done. Yeah. So I'm trying really hard to incorporate those things, but then that's another thing that takes out of the day. So that gives me added stress, which is meant to be stress relief. It just makes me feel guilty that I'm not working.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going through a really weird patch. It sounds like you are the same, where I just need to figure out what my priority. I mean, I know what my main priorities are, but like where everything else, like beyond family, that should be the main priority. Like where does everything else fall into the pyramid or whatever shape I'm making?
I totally get it. There's not enough hours in the day, and let me tell you, because I turned 43 this year.
Oh, okay.
And, the 40s are interesting.
They are, because you do start to think about life as a bit of a ticking clock. Like in your 20s, you have got every minute in the world, and like you're going to live for thousands of years. And you do start to think, actually, what is important to me now? You know, we're not going to be here forever. I hate saying that, but I've got to like face it at some point.
Well, it's so funny because even when I go to my doctor and she knows like all of my plethora of health things, and she looks at me and she's like, "You are 42, not 22. Like you need to slow down just a little." She's like begging me just to slow down just a little bit. But it's so
It's
hard for
interesting.
me.
So in America, I'm assuming like you go for regular checkups and stuff in America and Canada, because it's paid healthcare and it's like a kind of checkup is part of that, right? In the UK, it does. I mean, maybe for some people in some areas it works that way, but where I live, unless you've got a problem, you don't go to the doctor. So I think sometimes like I don't know that I'm not well until like I'm really not well, and I go and they're like, "Oh man, your tonsils are a mess," and like your sinus is really, and like I'm like, "Oh." I've just been letting all these things build up, and now I've got to deal with them all at once. I think that having like wellness checks is a really good thing. Like I don't really have a doctor. I go to a doctor's surgery and whoever is available sees me. So there isn't any one person that kind of knows me and goes, "Oh yeah, I remember you had this thing before. You need to do this, or you've just been on antibiotics. Don't do that again. You know, you need a bit of a break." So sometimes I'm sitting there at the doctor's, I'm like, "Oh no, I can't go on that antibiotics because I've just had that a month ago." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So it doesn't ever feel like you've got that continuity.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's another thing like that's different where we are.
Yeah, it's nice having the same doctor all the time because like I said, like she's been my doctor now for, since 2008, so
That's
almost
awesome.
10 years. And she's seen it all with me going up through my 20s, 30s, 40s. Yeah, so it's quite different. I didn't think that, over there you go to the doctor when you're sick and you don't really
I mean, it depends. And I think when you get to certain ages here, like it kickstarts, without going too much into it, it kickstarts certain like regular checks and stuff. But I'm in like an age bracket where there's not really anything happen unless you've got an underlying health concern. There isn't really anything happening for me right now. I think in some areas they do more like wellness type checks, but not really here.
Yeah.
So yeah, so maybe that's why I'm a stress wreck a lot of the time. I've got Kev kind of trying to slow me down, but I haven't got anybody with, a medical degree saying actually, this is the effect of stress on the body, and maybe then I'd be like, okay, I'll listen. Perhaps. I don't know. So, are you planning to relax? Are you planning to slow down in the next sort of 40 minutes or so, a sprint?
Yeah, so I want to get some stuff done with the library. I de-stickered some books last night that I did in my last haul earlier this week. So they have to be cataloged and put up on the shelves. So I just want to kind of put on some background music, take things slow, do some cleaning up around here, maybe throw on my audiobook for a little bit. I do kind of want to move a little bit slower during this one.
That sounds nice. Well, like I said, I've got little piles of stuff that I need to sort all around me. So I may turn off my camera because I've got to run upstairs and finish sorting little I don't know whether you do this, but I pile things up that I'm working on. And then I'm like, oh, pile of books that needs to go upstairs. Yes. Pile of envelopes that I need to sort.
Yeah, I'm surrounded by piles here too. Yeah.
Yeah. Bag that needs to go in the porch, but I've put it by the porch, but I haven't actually hung it up. So I'm going to go and do those things, I think, for the next 40 minutes and then treat myself with Lego afterwards. So let's see what the people in the comments are doing, and then we can do a sprint. Oh, amazing. I keep saying I'm going to reread Frankenstein. It's been too long. That sounds really cool. You've made me want to read it again, Stephen. Hello, Chloe. How are you? It was honestly so good. Like I said, oh, let's go to Disney, and then maybe in a few years we'll revisit. And already I'm like, can we go next year? Can I afford it? It's the most ridiculously, from the UK, it's the most ridiculously expensive holiday. It's painful.
Okay.
When you add on flights, even before you start, they're really expensive now. But yeah, I loved it so much. Yes, vampires, all the time, isn't it, at the moment? Hello, we're doing well. I think we're just both in a bit of a a patch, me and Elizabeth, but we'll get through it and we'll kind of calm things, I'm sure. Honestly, it's amazing, Chloe, isn't it? And I know that there are some that are even more massive. Like I just went into kind of a random small Barnes and Noble and it's still incredible. And it's the range of books too, like authors I've not even heard of. And I had a really small space in my suitcase, so I was a little bit sad that I couldn't buy all of the books. I had to just buy a very small selection. Yeah, honestly, I need to figure out how to. I'm now listening to them on Spotify because I got rid of Audible. So I'm gonna try and get into it a bit more. Yes, so I did I mention vampire? I don't even know whether I mentioned that in my TBR. I'm such all over the place at the minute. I need to do a designate video about it. I think I have put a couple of vampire videos on my vampire books on my TBR because of that. But yeah, what is Regina's channel called, Elizabeth? Can you remember in case
It's Regina's Haunted Library.
Thank you. Regina's Haunted Library. If anybody wants to join in Vamptember, I think it
I
is.
do have links, just so everyone knows. If you go to my video for Vamptember, I do have links to all the co-hosts, so you can go there too.
Amazing. So if you want more information about that, you can head to Elizabeth or Regina's channels. Yes. Okay. So it was delayed from the 11th of September to the 25th of September because there was a production issue. And at first I was a bit like, my book's been delayed. But then I was like, oh, I've got 2 more weeks to promote my book. And I don't have a physical copy of it yet. They should be coming early next week. So then that does still give me a few, like 3 weeks to actually promote it. Whereas if it was coming out on Thursday, that would have just been really stressful. So I'm just trying to be chill about this. This is what I mean, like things at the moment, like little things that I've got no control over are just not going my way right now. So I'm kind of on this, like, I need to make sure that the up is coming because there's been lots of little hiccups of late. Do you know what? That's a really good idea. I've been trying to walk more. So do you listen to audiobooks when you're walking, Elizabeth?
Yes, and it's kind of nice because now when I'm walking in the mornings, but I do go at 4 a.m. But
wow.
Yeah, but it's cool and it's crisp and it's dark. So I'm really excited to put on super spooky books because you'll have that kind of atmosphere.
Oh yeah. That's cool. Although you might find yourself absolutely terrified at some point. You'll just come out of the book and then be like, oh, I'm out in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's many people around at that time of day, though. So I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, I know. I saw on Chloe's story, delayed waiting on a US flight. And I was like, oh, me too. We were delayed 4 hours, which with
Oh
a
God.
5-year-old isn't. So we'd booked this nice morning flight and we were like, oh, we'll get to Florida, in the afternoon and we can kind of ease our way to the hotel and stuff. And no, we got to Florida in the evening and then went to bed really late. So, but he was an absolute trooper. I think the little 5-year-old was the most positive person I've ever seen. He was like, I don't think he really understood what was going on. He was like, delays, I don't know what that is, so I'm not going to let it bother me. So I was the most worried about that, and he was fine. So I hope yours. I mean, we got there in the end, right? So it's all fine. Yeah, 2-week delay. Yeah, I know. Well, I emailed some Waterstones and they were so confused. I was like, hey, I'm going to come visit you. And they were like, we don't know when your book comes out. Can you explain to us? And I'd CC'd in my publicist. And I was like, Antonia, can you explain? Because I don't fully understand. There's all these different warehouses and hubs where books are. Like Waterstones has their own hub. And then there's kind of a central hub. And I was like, I don't know where the books are. So Antonia, and she kind of jumped in and explained. And then every other bookshop that asked, I was like, I understand now, but yeah, it's a lot. And it's that weird thing where although I am the author of the book, I have no control over the process.
No.
So I just have to accept that when the book arrives, like Alwyn Hamilton posted today, like, I've got a copy of The Own the Night. And I was like, I haven't, but that's good for you. So yeah, mine got sent yesterday as well, I think. But then I wasn't in to collect it today, so it got sent away. So on Monday, hopefully I will be home when they come. So they tried, but it's just
so hard to go with the flow. I can't imagine how you're coping with it.
Honestly, going with the flow is all I can do at the minute. It's almost like you've had this amazing holiday, so now here's just a load of really annoying little administrative hoops to jump through for the next few weeks. I think that's going to be my next couple of weeks, realistically, until things calm down. But hopefully by the time my book is coming out, I'll be like, yeah, it's, everything's calm now, and I can just, I feel like we kind of are a vampire club already, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, I have thought this before, like about a vampire book club, but I did the YA book club and I enjoyed it, but I just found it, although it was only one small thing, it was just what it was like one thing too many to organize. I couldn't maintain it. By the time I'd organized like the people that were coming on and made sure I read the book and stuff, I was like, this is just too much. So yeah, I do think I've already talked to Elizabeth about something vampire that I want to set up at some point, and it's just not happened. It's on my list of things that was meant to be for this year, and now it's gone. I think it's next year's problem. Yeah, I mean, this is how publishing works. I'm discovering, Denise. It's like, I mean, I was meant to get mine today at the same time as everybody else, and I just wasn't here. Mine copy, they tried to deliver at 9:10 this morning, and it's like post never arrives at that time. I was really confident I could nip out at that time, but no. Monday, I'm just gonna have to be glued to my sofa and like constantly looking out the window to make sure I don't miss anything. So yes, let's do a sprint. I'm going to turn my camera off, I think, just because I'm going to be whizzing around and it won't be relaxing for anybody seeing me just going shoo, shoo. So let's do 40 minutes. And then if I don't say I'm going to relax in the second sprint, please make me.
Okay.
So I'll see you in 40 minutes. Hope you have a nice, relaxing sort Hello. Those sprints go by way too fast. Oh, I just looked up and I was like, 5 seconds left. No.
It was almost perfect. I mean, I finished de-stickering all these books like with 2 minutes left. So I actually did an Instagram post. So I mean
Awesome.
it was productive.
Well, I didn't do many of the things I thought I was going to do, but I always do this. I think, oh, 40 minutes, I can get 1,000 things done, and I never quite manage. But I got a couple of the things done, so that's the main thing. And I'm going to try and relax in the next sprint. I just need to tidy up the mess I created during that one, and then yeah. Oh, my little Minnie Mouse is sitting there. So I got this mini at Disney. Because we got married at the wedding pavilion at the Grand Floridian Hotel. And at the Grand Floridian, I just walked into the shop and there was this little happily ever after mini. And I was like, okay, fine.
Well, I mean, that was meant to be.
I'm going to get a Minnie Mouse for myself. Most of the cuddly toys that we brought home were, of course, for Nathan. I think he got about 12 different toys. But it was like every new theme park he went to and every new place, he was like, oh, I need like an Animal Kingdom cuddly. And I was like, yes, of course you do. And then a Magic Kingdom one, I was like, yeah, fine. And then, escalated. But yeah, so I think I'm going to very quickly tidy up in the next sprint and then relax. So how about you?
Lego. If you don't do
Yes,
your Lego in this next sprint.
I'm gonna get the Lego. I just need 2 minutes to tidy up the chaos of the previous sprint, and then. How about you? Is there any reading in your future, or?
Yeah, so I when I'm cataloging on my phone, like when I'm in my bookshelf app, I can't also have an audiobook on. Like,
Oh, okay.
play at the same time. They won't do it at the same time. So I was like, okay, well, I'll finish de-stickering, get everything cataloged, and in this sprint, I'm going to put on my book and while I'm getting some stuff up on the shelf.
That sounds nice. See, gradually winding down, aren't we? We're heading in the right direction. Although you're not winding down for the end of the day like I am. What time is it where you are?
It's 12:10. Lunchtime.
Okay. Yeah, so you're kind of ramping up your day, and I need to wind mine down now. So let's see what people have been doing. Comments. That sounds nice. Yes, I mean the Lego building picture. It's a one. I think it's just one big structure. So I imagine the first thing I do is not even going to look like a house. It's just going to look like a corner piece or something. But yeah, I'll try and track my progress. Whoa, nice. I mean, the magic of the sprint, isn't it? If you're in the zone in the sprint, you're in the zone, you get results. And I've never heard of that, but I like the title, My Heart and Other Black Holes. Reminds me of the title of one that I read that I think you would like called, have you heard of Vampires' Hearts and Other Dead Things?
It's ringing a bell, but I can't picture it.
Yeah, it's by Margie Fuston. It's quite dark, actually. It's YA, but it's a girl whose father is dying of cancer, and she decides that she's going to go to New Orleans and find a vampire, as you do, to see if vampire, can change him, and will that cure him? So it's weird because she's kind of grieving her father before he's gone, but at the same time trying to enjoy all New Orleans has to offer and try and meet a real vampire. So it's really interesting. I normally struggle with books about grief, but it kind of did it in a way that I could manage. I think it did it like, I don't know, like really kindly, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't harsh. It was sort of like real, but lovely at the same time.
I like it. And I mean, anything with history or New Orleans would be right up my alley.
Yeah, this is it. I thought of you when I was in Florida because I found this shop called Atomic Horror, and it was so lucky. I was literally scrolling TikTok, or was it Kev? One of us. We were sitting scrolling together anyway, and it obviously the algorithm worked out where we were, and it was like, hey, there's this cool shop called Atomic Horror in Florida, and we were like, wait, where in Florida? Orlando. So we went, and it was amazing. There was a Michael Myers area where you could pose with Michael, and a Jason area. It had so much trick or treat stuff, like loads of really cool merch. There was a whole Elvira room. It was just awesome. Like this little area with pictures of her everywhere. There was even like a chaise lounge with like a big Elvira cushion on it. It was great. I found this book in there that made me think of you that was called Haunted Orlando, and it reminded me you got one of where you're from in Canada, like the Haunted series. And I was like, oh, Elizabeth would like this. And I started reading it, and it's kind of wild to read these haunted books, isn't it? Because especially if it's a place you're familiar with, you're like International Drive, like the place where all the hotels are and stuff, and everybody's just blissfully carrying on. And then there's all these weird and scary stories, um, just like right under the surface that most people don't know about. And so I always try and buy like the haunted book now for everywhere I go. Think,
Yeah,
what are the
I
hauntings in this place?
I do find some from other places every now and again. I have some like I found two actually like spooky stories from Hawaii, which is really
All
weird
right.
to find in the middle of Canada, but
Okay.
I found those. And one of my girlfriends, actually, a couple of people have sent me haunted books from their areas, which is really cool. Because because it's kind of my jam. Like I know most of the folkloric ones from here, so it's nice to learn about other places too.
Yeah, because England is so old. I mean, that's like the obvious statement of the century. But I feel like I'd like to know more about my local area because I know, like, say York and Whitby and London and Edinburgh. Like, I know a lot of the stuff, and I've been on the ghost tours. But I went to Doncaster Archives recently, and it sounds like there's loads of cool stories about my area too that I need to dig into a little bit deeper because I'm sure there's some fascinating stories. Like there was an apothecary called Benjamin Popplewell, and I was like, that sounds like something out of Dickens. But he was a real person that lived in Doncaster and like dispensed medicine in inverted commas, if you can call it that, what apothecaries. I'm sure some of it was very useful and some of it was leeches. But yeah, they were telling me about like local witches and stuff like that, like historical wise. And there's like churches with cool little stories about them and graveyards. And yeah, I think it's nice I've never really thought of where I live as that kind of place because it's basically all housing estates. The city where I live now, there's like a town centre and then just loads of communities around. So I never really felt like there was loads of history, but I think there probably is, and I need to delve in. And the archivist, like, yes, please come ask us for spooky stories, and we'll get them all sorted for you. It was kind of the introduction last time, and I was like, I think I might book a slot with them next time and say, right, give me your
Oh,
witch.
that would be awesome. I love that. If you haven't, have you ever seen any of the stories on Airy Edinburgh, like the YouTube channel?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've been on like ghost tours in Edinburgh, but I've not
Yeah.
beyond that.
His YouTube channel is really cool, and now he's putting out books. So there's Haunted Scotland and there's a
Oh,
Haunted
cool.
England that I'm actually reading right now.
Oh, cool.
And I really like how he does the stories because he goes kind of deep into history of areas first and then layers the ghost stories on after. So you kind of get the best of both worlds with the history and then the ghost stories related to it. And so you might like that one.
I think so, because that's what the Haunted Orlando one did. It kind of talked about how Orlando formed, and like, as a lot of towns in America did, it kind of started as one thing and then very quickly was replaced and incorporated into one state. And, there was all sorts of happenings, and like when Florida became a state, like all that was in there. And I think a lot of that kind of feeds into the paranormal, doesn't it? It's like, well, if this building was this thing before, that is why they've got all this kind of activity because of its history.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it when books do that. I find them a bit jarring when it's just like, hey, there's this little story, this little story. I like the ones that give you the big picture and then kind of zoom in. There's a lot of good. When I went to New Orleans, of course, I bought loads of books like that, and there's a lot that do that really well. Like they say, hey, this is why New Orleans is such a kind of mixture of cultures and vibes, and why it's so cool. And then here are the individual stories. And yeah, that works well for me. I'd love to write one. I just would need to do it probably about my local area. Maybe that's the thing. Like, has there been one about Doncaster in South Yorkshire that's like very niche? But
I was going to say that it's so specific, but maybe that's what you need.
well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe a bit broader, like South Yorkshire. I wonder if somebody's already done one like the county I live in. Because yeah, South Yorkshire doesn't quite catch things like York and Whitby, which they're more like North Yorkshire, which have their own interesting histories. Obviously, you've got Dracula, and then you've got York is quite known for its ghost stories and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I need to dig more. My town, a lot of it is like roots with the Romans. So a lot of the roads, like there's a shopping centre called French Gate, which is apparently where there was a Roman gate. And like the River Don, like is why it's called Doncaster, and that was named, I think, during Roman times. And so I think that might be where a lot of our kind of lore comes from, like the early Roman settlers, which is kind of cool. I don't suppose in America, like you can often kind of and kind of to trace the roots that far back. I don't know.
No, well, I mean, ours would go
You,
more of the indigenous route, right?
this is it. So it'd be like it's almost in America. Do you think it's like the prehistory continued longer in a way? Like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. Like whether when did written records like begin? Again, would have indigenous people like are there kind of written records from
Well,
their
and
times,
that's the
or did
thing
a lot
because
of it disappear?
I think most of theirs is oral
Yeah,
tradition, and a
exactly.
lot of that language died out, right, when the
Yeah,
settlers came here. Um, and there was the conversion and all of that kind of thing and colonization, so it just kind of got lost, right? So I think that's why, like, for over in the UK, like you do trace it kind of back through Roman times and all of that kind of thing, because the written word was kind of more prevalent there than it would have been here, right?
yeah, and I think the written word didn't get lost here in the way that it's some places like the Library at Alexandria burned down, so a lot
Yeah,
of like ancient Greece stuff went, and then I think the Aztecs like were an incredibly kind of forward-thinking society, and when I think it was the Spanish that came and messed that up, and a lot of like they had written records and stuff, and some of it survives, but a lot of it didn't because the conquerors did what they do and conquered.
and conquered,
Um,
and that's exactly what happened here, right? Like most of the indigenous people here now don't even know their own language, and they're
yeah,
trying to bring all of that back, but we're not going to get that history because it was mostly oral history.
yeah, because I think when I meet American people, like they'll say, "Oh, you know, our history started in, you know, whatever year, like you want to call it the gold rush or whatever." Like their community
Yeah,
would have started as it was known, say in California, and I'm like, well, yeah, but your history did start before, like people in that place. There were people there a lot of the time, but their history isn't counted as like the start of the history. It's strange to me. Like the
yeah.
indigenous history isn't treated on the same level when actually it should be like, well, these were the first people here who deserved protection.
Well, I know, and even where I'm from in Newfoundland, like our indigenous people there were Beothuk,
Okay.
and unlike some parts in Canada, like we still have Métis and different kinds of Indigenous peoples here that still have the hereditary links and all of that, and they're fully Indigenous. The Beothuk were completely killed off in Newfoundland with
Okay.
disease. So the only history really, they actually kidnapped a couple of the women and they drew pictures of like where they were from and how they lived and all of that kind of stuff, and that's how they learned the history. But they were completely wiped out, so like it's completely gone. So like Newfoundland history kind of starts with John Cabot coming from Europe, and when was
Okay.
that? 1497. So anything before 1497 is really hard to find, or they try to piece it together, and you know it's kind of its own thing.
I find it so interesting, and I think more and more I kind of look to history, and I studied it at school, and then when I chose it again when I turned 17, when I did A levels, and it was the history of UK politics, and it just killed the interest for me. I was like, I didn't want to know about the formation of the Labour Party. I didn't care what year that formed or why. I didn't care when the Conservatives formed and why. Like I just I'm not hugely into politics now because I just find it majorly depressing, but then I was even less so interested. So all the kind of things that grabbed me about history, like ancient cultures and stuff like that, like I've only recently really got that back because school so badly drilled it out of me.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason, probably, like when I did my degree, like my undergrad is in ancient and medieval history, kind
Yeah.
of concentrated in Rome and Greece,
Oh,
and
cool.
then over into the UK during the Reformation and all of that sort of thing. And I enjoyed that so much more than, like you say, like political formations and all of this kind of thing. The learning about the societies and how they worked and how smart they were before, like the dark times, was
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah, and it's amazing how a time can come along and just undo. Like when, because the education company I work for, they did a project on the Aztecs, and I was just so shocked how advanced that society was, and all it took was an invasion, and then bringing loads of disease and loads of like quashing of culture where you just weren't allowed to live in the way you were living, and
Hmm.
then like you said, most of those people died out because they, of the disease and stuff that came with the conquering people. Um, Like, I think that it's really important to learn about that. And I think if children choose that in school, great. But like history can completely pass you by. Like in the UK, I think you have to study it till you're 13, 14, and then you can pick to not study it. And I'm like, oh, I think that history, like you really need to learn it or you're gonna repeat it in all the wrong ways.
Well, and we're kind of in that kind of period right now where
I
a
mean,
lot of the things
right?
we're seeing, we've already seen before.
Yeah, honestly. And like the conversations people are having and try ideas that people are trying to bring back. I'm like, no, people have lost their lives decades ago to fight away from some of these ideas. Hence my, trouble with politics, just
Yeah.
because I'm like,
And
it
why we
seems to
need
just,
books, because we need to dive into something to get away from
yeah,
all of this
we
craziness
do.
going on.
And when you read stuff like The Hunger Games and think, this is familiar, that's just wrong, isn't it? Like, this is why I'm not reading dystopia at the moment, because it's like, man, I see this in real life. I don't want more of it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I won't read that book. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could cope with teenagers who are really depressed. I think that'd feel really sad for them. Do you know what? I would love to read more about Scottish Ghost even. So when I went to Scotland, I was obsessed with Outlander. So that kind of took over what I did. I did all the Outlander tours, which is great, but I need to go back and do like because I've realized since then there's loads of vampire legends. Like when you read Day and the Night, you will get to read them because I researched all the Scottish vampire stories and I was like, this is awesome. There's so many good ones. And I put one in and I got my Scottish friend to read the book and she'd never heard of a particular one. And she was like, this area really near me, there's an area called the Gorbals. And she was like, I live like here in this city and I've never heard this story. And I really like that there can be all of these legends and stuff that you just don't know even about your own place. So yeah, I fully went to town. I blame Kev about the Scottish thing because his family is Scottish. And when I was watching Outlander and also writing this book, we discovered that Kev's family dated back to that time of like Outlander and the
Oh,
Battle of
wow.
Culloden. So his family fought in the Battle of Culloden. And I was like, the same battle that Jamie from Outlander was in. So yeah, the whole book became Scotland and then the very north of England because I just became a bit obsessed. So yeah, I do. You're right, Stephen. I need to read more. Oh, they're so good. When you come to the UK, you need to do the crypts underneath Edinburgh are just like, oh, the stories are so good in there. And they'll take you down and they'll be like this particular area, like you need to stand there because you'll feel cold spots, and they'll tell you why because there's crypts and then there's catacombs. So there's like catacombs that were used for various nefarious purposes through history. And then there's the actual crypts, like the burial places. Yeah, it's amazing, Chloe. I need to do it again because it's been a long time. Oh, I love hearing that, Stephen. I love hearing about local. There's a whole about 20 minutes away from where we live that's apparently got some cool ghosty stories. So I need to delve into that a bit more. Unfortunately, when you go to these places quite often, they're like, this is the history, and King Henry VIII once stayed here. And I'm like, yes, but do you have any ghosts? And they're like, this wasn't on my guide of like tour guide stuff to give. So I think sometimes I need to go to these places like armed with my own alternative history book of the
Well,
place.
it's so funny because we have a place just south of. So I'm north of Calgary. You go through the big city, and then you can go into High River, which is south. And there's a historic home down there. I didn't even know it existed until last year, when it was bought by this family, and it was actually. I think it was Superman 3 was shot there,
Oh,
and
really?
it's this huge Victorian historic home, and it has such a deep history and it's so extremely haunted, but it was purchased by this woman who's a psychic medium, and her husband, they like
Oh.
ripped up like the new floors to get down to the floorboards. They've renovated it. I'm actually doing a review of it. This was before I had my surgery, but I told her, I'm like, I need to like yell this place from the rooftops for people to come down to this, because like for myself being spirit sensitive, it was one thing, but even just going in and hearing the stories was incredible. And she takes you through the whole house and tells you different things that have happened in different areas of the house, both historically, but then the ghost stories as well. And the day that we went, they had problems with their booking system. And Matthew and I ended up with a private tour, and because nobody else was there. And it was just incredible. So it's like anytime I can get to a haunted place, especially to talk to someone who's also a spirit sensitive, was just over the top.
Yeah, that's awesome. My brother got married in the New Forest, right at the south of England, and they were staying in this beautiful hall. And I felt really creeped out in our room. It was right at the top of the hall, and we only stayed there the night before the wedding. And everybody else was down this party, and Nathan was really young then, so Kevin and I were up there, and I was like, "Man, this room feels weird." And I don't often get. I don't think I'm a particularly sensitive person in that direction. And I was like, and I was taking pictures of this gorgeous room, and I kept getting like orbs on the pictures, and I'm like, oh, this is really weird. And I
Yeah.
was filming and stuff, and there was all little specks on the filming, and I'm like, and I told my brother the next morning, and I was like, and he said, yeah, and I was like, tell me the story. And of course, there was a ghost story. There was a tragic ghost story about the room where we stayed and the person who took a plunge off the balcony where we stayed. And I was like, actually, thanks for putting me in the haunted room. I do appreciate that. Like, that's cool. I kind of would have liked to know beforehand, so I could have researched it a bit. But yeah, I really like it when I have experiences like that because I haven't had that many of them. But when I do, I'm like, I don't know, you feel like in touch with something beyond yourself. I've had a couple, like in America, I don't know if I told you before, where we stayed in a hotel that used to be a hospital in the Civil War. And of course, I was like, I've got to stay in this place. And they'd done it out really beautifully. And there was a really loud, like, obnoxious knock on the door. And I kind of marched over in a huff, thinking it was Kev, like, why is he knocking like that? And I flung the door open, like, what? And he was down there in the carport, like, looking up at me. And there's nobody at the door. And it's just like such a small thing, but I just will always remember that. Like, was it somebody playing a very fast run game of knock a door run? I don't know, but like I don't know. They're the main two experiences for me, but it just kind of I'd love to go somewhere like where you went, where you can actually talk to a person who has that kind of belief and understanding. Because quite often when you go to these places, like I said, it'll be with somebody who's more skeptical or just doesn't know, and you're like, oh, I just want to know those stories. Like once we took Nathan to this castle and it was really ruined apart from this one chapel was quite preserved and he would not go in the chapel. And he was only probably 2 at the time. And he stood in the doorway and he was like, no, mummy, no. Like, and he just wouldn't go in and he like ran away, wanted to play. And I went in and I was like, what could he feel? And I could feel nothing, but he could obviously feel something in that room and that space. And he just was like, nope, I'm just not going in there. And I know children can kind of perceive things differently from adults.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a moment then. I was like, oh man, is he more sensitive than me, or is he just a kid and this is what they can feel and we're not always aware of?
Well, and it's so funny because even because Matthew and I are both sensitives and we have all kinds of different things in our house and we have ghosts, but then we also just have house spirits. They're just here. And my mom and dad, when they moved up here, they were over and they were, I think, moving some stuff into their new condo. And because they had stored some stuff with us when they first moved. And my mom texted me and she's like, your smoke detector keeps going off. Like, I don't know why you need to replace the battery or whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't have a battery, it's hardwired. And she was like, oh. And she was like, just have it here, like when you come home. And it was like every time they were over, the thing would constantly beep. And when Matt and I were here, nothing. And I'm like, I think you guys are nuts. And we were downstairs, they were upstairs, and all of a sudden we heard beep. And I'm like, I don't think my house spirits like that you're here when we're not here. I think that's what's going on. And that was the only time it ever happened because they had just gotten here. And I think our spirits didn't like that there were strangers in the house.
That is so interesting, isn't it? And like, when you have those moments where you feel cold or those moments where you sort of perceive something and then you kind of move and it's gone. Like I've never really tapped into it much, but I'd like to more. I think it's really cool. And like talking to you, I'm like, actually, yeah. When you start to think and like be open to stuff, you kind of, I think you see it more, don't you? Like there's so much in the modern world that can kind of distract us from that kind of thing. And like, there's excuses like your mum saying, oh, the batteries, like, but when you actually know and you're like, no batteries. So
Yeah. So Matt kind of gets freaked out a little bit still, but it's just the experience that we have. We just tell each other, we kind of laugh it off, and there's nothing here that's going to hurt us, so we just kind of go with it.
Well, this is it. As long as you're having nice or like neutral experiences, it's kind of like, well, this is the way we are, so
Yeah.
let's just continue. Yeah, the Bronte sisters had such a sad story. I love Haworth, where they lived. There's only a couple of hours from where I live, and we try and go every year or two just because it's this beautiful little village. There's a walk with a waterfall a few miles into the walk, where they apparently used to sit and sketch and write, and
Oh,
it's this beautiful little waterfall. You can just imagine them there. If you ever go and there's nobody there, there's like a little bridge over the stream, and you just feel like you're in their time. And then if you keep walking, there's the ruins, there's kind of the footing and a little bit of the walls of a place called Top Withens, which supposedly inspired Wuthering Heights. It like used to be a stately home that's now just a ruined footing, basically. So we haven't done that walk for a long time because it's a really long walk to get to that, but it's so worth it because you just feel like you're in their world like hundreds of years ago.
see, this is the problem. I feel like if I ever go to the UK, I'm never going to come back.
Well,
So
this is it. I mean, you do need at least 2 months here, I think, and you probably have to, or you'll do what we did, like going to Florida now. I'm like, okay, I'm already planning next year. Like, I think you'd come and then you'd immediately be planning the next vacation. Like, yeah, I need another month here next year, please, just to finish off. Like, you'd need to do like the north of England and then come back and do the south probably or something. And then you've
yeah.
got Wales and Scotland and
And
Ireland
Scotland,
too.
Ireland. Like, I wouldn't wanna do the hop where you kinda do everything within, like, 2 weeks or 10 days. There's just too much.
There
I think
is,
I was
and
gonna say
like we spent 4 or 5 days in Ireland a few years ago, maybe even more than a few years, probably like 7 or 8 years ago now, and it just wasn't enough. Like we did all the Game of Thrones stuff, and we did some beautiful things. Like there's this really famous walkway of trees, and like I can't remember what it's called. It's like Twisted Arches or something, and they're just these ancient black twisted trees that have all like grown together into this gorgeous arch, and like they're just there's so many places and you just feel so much when you're there. Like it's like you can feel all the people that have lived there before. It's just yeah, Ireland and Scotland particularly just feel like incredible to me. And then Wales, there's loads of amazing castles and stuff because the coast of Wales, there's so much coastline there. Like
yeah.
the castles are just incredible. Yeah, I've heard that too, Stephen. I find that really interesting. Certain breeds, I think, particularly, and cats, I've heard are really like intuitive. I had a really dopey cat. I don't think that she intuited anything. But I had this Persian growing up, and she was beautiful, but she was like this kind of quite sedate, lazy, mostly house cat, and she just like no, I don't think she was sensing anything that was going on. She just wanted cuddles and to eat. That was it. That was fun. I feel like I need to write a ghost story now to like get some of this out of my system, but I'm not. I'm gonna go and get my haunted house Lego. And I
Yes.
haven't even opened it yet. So I think the main first challenge is going to be to get the thing open, find the first bag. Because when I did the Nightmare Before Christmas one, which is still in bits in my room, I didn't have much success with that one. But when I did that, there were so many little bags to organize. Like I have you ever done like I think you've done adult Lego stuff, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, we did the Hogwarts castle last year,
Yes,
and
this is it.
it was an 18 plus set, and let me tell you, that thing was hard.
Do you know what? The Nightmare Before Christmas one, the mistake I made was I built it in all its bits. And I think what I should have done was put it onto the shelf where it was going to live and like assembled it as I went along. And so it's ended up just all these partially finished things because they've all, as I put them there, like that bit's fallen off. And Nathan's gone to have a look at that one. It fell on the floor and smashed. So I've put it up in bits and I knocked that one off. So it all just looks a big mess. And I'm also thinking I'm going to have to start again, and half of it seems to be missing. I'm like, where are all the figures? Like Jack and Sally have just gone. They're probably in some toy box somewhere. So that was my first adult Lego experience, and I just really messed it up. Like I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm going to try hard with this one to preserve the structure, like put it somewhere sensible in between, out of the reach of any small hands and out of the reach of me. It's me in the room, like get a book, knock it off, and then I've got to start again. Like it's just
Well,
not.
I was just happy that Matt and I did it together because between the 2 of us, we figured it out, but if it was just me, I'd probably just get frustrated with it.
The problem with those little diagrams is they don't line up sometimes. You're like, okay, it's 4 by 5, but I'm looking at a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional object
Yeah.
here. And then the colors don't quite match sometimes. So you like find a dark gray piece and eventually you find a black piece and you're like, this the dark grey piece? And then you start building on it, and then you realize that that's another piece, and you're
And then
like,
you gotta
oh.
take it's so bad.
It is. I'm gonna try, but I did find it relaxing last time. But I did get some bits where I was like, Kev, I need to use your eyes because I can't see what this diagram is getting me to do. And sometimes they got like you'd build it and realize it's wrong, and then they'd be stuck together. So I'd be like, Kev, can you just disassemble? Because my little fingers, I can't do it. He seems to be really good at like getting tiny Lego pieces apart. But yeah, so I like it, but I do find it slightly stressful as well. So we'll see. And also there's no safe room in my house to store it. So I think I need to figure that out before I start to. So yeah, I'm going to go do that. I've marked where we're up to in the comments. So you can have a nice relaxing time listening to your audiobook, getting your stuff done. And I'm going to go and finish the last couple of things I was doing here and then go get the Lego. So let's do another 40 minutes and I'll see you all in a little So it's difficult to stop building. I finished and I was like, all these little fiddly bits, and then it meowed at me. So far, I have built this. And it's this giant haunted house, which I don't think I can even. Let me grab the box. I'll see if I can show you. It is. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's going to be pretty big. I've got a space on top of a bookshelf that I think it will just. I've got this sort of square bookshelf that doesn't really, isn't really very practical, but actually it's just the right size to put a haunted house on top. So that's the plan. But I think it might take me a while if this is what I'm accomplishing in, one night. But this is the point, isn't it? Lego is meant to help me relax. So
I have a big set we're working on too. It's the Burrow from the Harry Potter.
Oh, right, cool.
And it's huge and it like opens up. But it's funny because like in the colder months we build a lot of Lego, but it seems like during the summer we switch gears to other things. I don't know, just Lego not during the summer, but I'm excited to get back to that one.
Yeah, same here. I didn't do any over the summer months at all. I think we're outside a lot of the time and like we tend to walk in evenings in the summer, whereas in the winter we sort of hibernate a bit more. We've got that many clubs with like little person after school, so he generally most nights he does some kind of sport or activity, and then you eat quickly and then it's bedtime, and then suddenly you're like, oh, it's 8 p.m. and like then there's not a lot of time to kind of do anything.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, that's us. How did you get on with your sprint?
Good. I did get through a little bit more of my book. I have my live show tomorrow for 2 books for the book club, because
Cool.
just because of my surgery and stuff, I didn't do a wrap up after July. And I just have about an hour or so left of the August book. Kind of carried into September a little bit, but that's okay because it'll be nice and fresh in my head.
Oh yeah, this is it. Oh, perfect. So you hopefully should today be able to finish that ready for your
Yeah.
chat tomorrow. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So this impromptu sprints have definitely been good for me this afternoon.
Good. Well, I'm going to do one more. It's up to you if you want to stay for one more, if you've got other things to do.
Yep,
That's
totally.
fine. Whichever. Awesome. Well, I'm just going to see what the people in the comments are doing. Hi, Paula. We are good. We've both started off a bit frantic, and I think that we're now calming the energy, aren't we? So, Paula knows. Paula has a young child similar age to mine. So Paula understands frantic, chaotic energy as much as I do. Nice. Being productive. Yeah, it's
huge.
big. I got it for my 40th birthday and I haven't cracked it open. And it's, my birthday's coming around again. So, oh yeah, there's going to be the new Harry Potter series. I don't know much about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't really been following it, so
I have no idea. I'm behind on everything now. I literally just watched the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and like normally I would see stuff like that at the cinema, and now I'm like the person who waits for the TV rental because cinema comes and goes.
It's like with me, like we're massive Conjuring fans.
Yeah.
But like the first 2, the third one I hated so much that I actually bawled my eyes out when it was over. So this one that just came out in theater yesterday, I said to Matt, I'm like, do we or don't we? He's like, let's just wait for it to come out. He was like,
yeah,
I have to drag you screaming out of there, throwing your shoes at the screen because you're upset with the movie. So, but I mean, the older we get, we're just homebodies. We just want to be at home snuggling.
well, this is it. And yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer is probably my second favorite slasher film after Scream, and I watched it, I want to say 1,000 times growing up, and that is probably not an exaggeration. Like there was one year where I watched it every single day. And so I had high hopes and like cautious, and didn't really do it for me. So there were a couple of things, where you're really wedded to the first film, like with The Conjuring, I guess, with you, and you know it inside out, and you know what ticks for each character, and you know what needs to happen like logically to fit in with the universe of what has been created. And I was and the second film didn't really do it, but the third one I was like, could it? And for me it didn't. do what
Mm.
I wanted it to do. And that's always the way it's going to, like with the Buffy reboot, I feel like I really want it to be amazing and to be, but it's not going to be everything every Buffy fan wants it to be. It's just impossible.
Yeah, and I'm at the point now where I'm so done with all the reboots and prequels and sequels and all of that kind of thing that I'm just not even bothering with it because it just upsets me. So I'm like,
Well,
maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't. I don't
do you
know.
know what? Nearly everyone doesn't do it. Like every kind of sequel and stuff, I just feel like the new Final Destination, I thought was okay, but didn't do what the first one did when I watched that. However, Heathers the musical has made me kind of question that
Oh,
because
I've heard it's really good.
it captured the vibe of Heathers so perfectly, and the songs are so good, and it kept everything I liked about the film. And what I really liked, I saw it off the West End and then it moved to the West End and they changed one of the songs. They took feedback. There was a song that it was a decent song, but it wasn't quite as empowering as it could have been for Winona Ryder's character, for Veronica. And then they rewrote the song and made it so much about her, and I was like, oh man, so they not only took feedback on what was already a decent song but that had some problems, and just made this amazing song that gave, in the version I saw, it was Carrie Hope Fletcher and she just had a real moment in that song, and I was like, this was already a great musical and you've just made it like epic. So yeah, so I still have hope because of that. I kind of went in, okay, Heather's one of my like top 5 favorite films. Come on, this could be okay, but whatever. And I was like, oh, it's really good. So every time I'm like, is it going to be a Heather's or is it going to be the many other things that have happened? Like The Crow. I saw the advert for The Crow and just went, no, no, thank you.
And there's just some things, I don't know, I'm like, just don't touch it. Just don't do it. Like they're having a Labyrinth redo, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I know it's Robert Eggers, and I love Robert Eggers, but I'm like, there's some things that you just shouldn't touch.
Well, part of Labyrinth is like it's David Bowie who's no longer with us, and the same
Yeah.
as The Crow. Like Brandon Lee died on the set of it, and that was part of the whole awful tragedy of the film and like mystique of the film. So touching it kind of seems to almost, I don't know, like who's going to play the Goblin King? Like really?
Well, and now they're saying like it might be a Goblin Queen instead of a Goblin King, and I'm like,
Well,
okay, but I don't know. I'm such a traditionalist when it comes to certain things.
yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know, guys.
I think if they're already iconic and cult, you should leave them where they are. I think some stuff, if like it's hard, like say Scream, a door is left open each time, and yeah, continue it. Keep doing decent additions to an amazing film. I'm fine with that. And so far, to me, none of the Scream films have been so tragic that I'm like, okay, that was awful. Like, leave it there. They're all still good fun. Um, but there's other things where I'm like, I actually can't watch any more of that. Like, I'm done with it. I am going to watch the Buffy reboot, and I listened to the Audible series, and I did like it. But to me, the original is still the original.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll wait for you to watch it, and then you can let me
Okay,
know.
I will. And I mean, they're saying the right things. Sarah Michelle Gellar is involved, and they've got a female director who is very in tune with the Buffyverse, apparently, and like understands what she's taken on. So that kind of makes me hopeful because that was what the Audible series was like. Christopher Golden and Amber Benson, is she called, who played Tara, like they know Buffy, so it was kind of in safe hands. I don't really like all you stuff that much, but for me, they did a good job of an alternate universe.
You know,
Um,
I had totally forgotten about the Audible series. I mean, maybe I'll get to that this month, but I still haven't listened to it.
Try it because I was pleasantly surprised. The cast were just back as they are, like Cordelia and Spike in particular. I mean, they were going to be, and Drusilla, like the three of those, like it was worth listening to for their performances. And then there were some good cameos. I'd not properly looked at who was in it, and I suggest do the same. Don't look at who's in it because
Okay.
occasional people pop up, and I was like, oh, that person. I didn't
Yeah,
know he
that's
was
what
in
you
it.
need. I
Yeah,
do wanna go into a blind. So the
yeah,
older
do.
I get, the more that I don't wanna watch movie trailers. I don't wanna know
Yeah,
too much about
same.
things, because I just find, like, it just gives way too much away, so I like going into things blind. One movie that I'm really excited about is The Frankenstein.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many Frankenstein. Is it the Guillermo del Toro one
Yeah, the
or
one that's coming
yeah,
out kind of, like, next month or whatever.
yeah. Yes, I feel like his vibe and his interpretation, like Crimson Peak style,
Yeah.
I feel like will work for that. Like he has this kind of beautiful, grotesque thing,
He
doesn't
does
he?
the
That
gothic just so well,
yeah.
and so I'm really excited about it, even just for the ambiance. Like, we rewatched, Bram Stoker's Dracula the other night from
Mm.
92, and, I mean, I've seen it 100 times. Matt hasn't seen it so much because he's only really gotten into kind of traditional gothic films since we've been together, and it is kind of slow, especially for people who are used to, like, guns blazing and, like, underworld and stuff like that. But he's like, "No, it's a really beautiful film," so he appreciates that, so I think he's going to like Frankenstein as well. He really loved Nosferatu when we saw it last year, so I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I mean, some of the casting in Dracula, if on the face of it, like, okay, Keanu Reeves is Jonathan Harker, you're like, really? But actually, he does a decent job. Accents are maybe a little patchy in places, but I think it draws out the characters really well. To say how long the book is, I think it gets the bits of the plot that are needed to make it make sense. It
Yeah.
adds a layer to it of the extra romance, which, a lot of people like. I think it's fine. But I think that the acting in that, like, I don't know who could be Gary Oldman as Dracula. Like, I just think he's incredible. Like, just the way the character changes through the film as well, like as Dracula does in the book, I think he just epitomizes the kind of charm and charisma of Dracula, like kind of as he wakes up and yeah, I think he does it really well. My friend Amanda from Fictional Hangover, I don't know whether you've seen her cosplay that she did of him. She
No.
did. Oh, I'll have to try and send you a picture. She did it for one of the vampire episodes of the podcast that we did. And she somehow looked exactly like him, and it was just very confusing for all involved because I was like, Amanda, you're really handsome. I don't understand. Like she just kind of had his charisma, and the bit where like Winona rides across the street and he's going, see me, like thinking it at her. She did like a whole thing of that, like saying "see me" and like popping up in different locations, like in her community. It was really good. But yeah, so I have lots of fond memories of that film. It makes me think of Amanda every time, and yeah, I kind of every couple of years I watch that, Interview with the Vampire, and The Lost Boys kind of on rotation with Buffy the Vampire Slayer the movie thrown in as well, just for a bit of kind of campy fun in between. Um, but yeah, I think they're the vampire films. What other ones? There are newer ones. Like yeah, I thought Nosferatu was good, but I don't like count it in those kind because they're the ones to me like that inspired me and were my kind of canon
Mhm.
from being a teenager really. Like I just discovered all of them either too young or at the right age. Certainly too young for Interview with Vampires. Like I like Brad Pitt.
It
Go for what?
was it was so funny. I think all of us, like, especially, like, our kind of booktube community, we all discovered Anne Rice way too young. I
Oh, way too
remember
young.
I put on Dracula, like, when I first moved here, so I would have been in my early 20s, and I called my mom because I remember she rented it out for me from the local library. She didn't even get it from the store, she got it from a library, and I was like, "You let me watch this when I was 12?"
I don't know, like Dracula, I don't know when I watched that, but I distinctly remember reading Interview with the Vampire on holiday, and I must have been 10 or 11, like 12
Yeah.
absolute maximum. And I was like, wow, this is good. Like, this is good. Two
Yeah,
male
I
vampires in
don't
a
know
gothic
what happened,
setting.
like, I went from my Goosebumps sort of, era right into Christopher Pike, Anne Rice, like, the kind of more, um, sort of later YA sort of years, but I was 11 and 12 as well, like, 12
Yeah,
max for
I
sure.
don't think there was as much. Like, you can go into a bookshop now and there's a whole YA section. I think there was, when I was growing up, it was like Babysitter's Club, Goosebumps wasn't even around when I was at the right age. Like, that came a little bit later. So it's Babysitter's Club, Point Horror, Sweet Valley High, and then nothing. So you just went, okay, fine, Stephen King and Anne Rice, it
Yeah.
will be then. And that's just, so I don't think, and I think that parents, like it was the 90s, I think that my mum was just like, did you like that? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, okay, cool, here's another one.
Here's
Like
another one. And
they
my
left me.
parents were like, they didn't
Oh,
care what I was reading as long as I was reading, and I was
yeah.
gobbling up books, so they
My
just
mum
let me go.
tried. she tried to read ahead of me with stuff. Like I wanted to read Sweet Valley University, and she read one, and she was like, "Okay." And to be honest, I don't think I understood it. So yeah, I probably read about stuff like the birds and the bees before I even knew what they were, and I think it just went whew, like they went to sleep. Fine, they went to bed. That was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and same with Interview with the Vampire and Dracula. I read them probably at a similar time, like 10 or 11, maybe 12. And I think the stuff I didn't understand, I probably just discarded. And I was like, this is gruesome vampire, like vampire in a coffin, wakes up, scares the crap out of somebody. Like that was the stuff that I remember reading and thinking, this is really good. Like that's one of my favorite scenes in Dracula.
Well,
Um,
and it's so funny. Like I know once we hit junior high, like I was in junior high and kind of say 94 to 96 sort of era. And, sleepovers were still really big then, or, you would have all the girls over and put on movies. And it was always like Pet Cemetery or
yeah,
Candyman or like whatever. So we were all, we were all exposed to these classic horror films at a very young age.
yeah.
Carrie was another one that was super popular.
Yeah, Scream came out when I was 13, and I remember watching that at a sleepover and being so scared that we all went to the toilet one at a time and like waited for each other outside the and we also, yeah, Candyman was the main one, and Exorcist. What
Exorcist,
else?
yeah.
What was the TV one where the little girls in front
Oh,
of the TV?
Poltergeist, which is one
Yeah,
of my
that's the one.
favorites.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I don't think I've watched that since I was a teenager. I need to watch it. And I think we half watched all of them. So we just screamed all the way through. Like stuff like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I watched bits of it. And I think we watched them all in the wrong order because we watched, like, I'd send my mum to the video shop because obviously I wasn't allowed to get them out myself. And she'd come back with like Nightmare on Elm Street 4, say. So we'd watch stuff in the wrong order and like watch a bit and then chat and not know what happened. But yeah, I don't know. Like now, it's tricky because I have a 5-year-old and like, I bought him. So we went in Spirit Halloween, which was an awakening experience. Spirit Halloween, oh my gosh, and and I bought him a Sam from Trick or Treat costume, and I was like, oh, that's a horror film that's an 18, but he loves. I've got so many Sams around my office, and he absolutely loves them and thinks he's the cutest thing ever. And obviously, he's got no concept that it's a really scary film. Um, and like with stuff like that, I'm like, I have a certain level. Like, obviously, I won't show him that, but like, he wanted to watch the Minecraft film, and I was like, it says on it that it's for older kids. And I showed him it, and he was absolutely fine. And all I said was, every time they said "but," I was like, "You're not allowed to say but," and then they'd say "crap," and I'm like, "You're not allowed to say crap either." And do you know what? He hasn't once. The only time he started saying "but" was we said he could say "but" when he was in America, so of course he did, which was really funny. Because in the UK, kids just wouldn't say "but," they'd say "bottom," like always. So it's really interesting as a parent now to do the filtering that I'm sure mine must have done as a child. And I think from about 10, my parents just stopped filtering and they were like, just, she's fine. Like, clearly she's fine. Look all the stuff she's watching. She loves it. Whereas my brother hated horror and stuff and kind of still now wouldn't choose to watch it. I think that it's a case of like judging how the kid does with it, isn't it? Like my mum's watching me reading Into the Vampire and having a grand old time by the
Well, and I
swimming pool.
think that was very, very much an 80s, 90s thing. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, the kids are okay, they're fine, let them do it. It's totally cool. But I think they just asserted that like a movie is a movie and that was it.
Well, this is the thing, and I think with Nathan, he really clearly understands that too. Like he will, like in Disney and stuff, if things are a bit scary, he'll lean over, like in the Haunted Mansion, he'll lean over and go, "This isn't real, is it?" And I'm like, "No, it's not real. You're okay." And he's like, "Okay, good," and then he can enjoy it.
And then he's fine.
So for some kids, you would like want them to suspend disbelief, and you'd go, "Oh yeah, it's totally real." With him, I've realized that doesn't work. Like he needs to know, yes, that like say if he saw a giant robot, like I can't think of the word. I'm so tired. Dinosaur. Like saw a big dinosaur, he would be like, "Mummy, is that a robot?" And I'm like, "Yes, it's a robot." And then he can enjoy it. But if I said,
Yeah.
"No, that's a real dinosaur," he would cry and run away. So we're kind of at the, well, he understands that a lot of this isn't real, therefore we're going with it. So I think he will be like me. I think he'll be okay and like see horror for what it is, which is entertainment, and it's not real. It's not happening to real people. It's not, I mean, I don't think it damaged me in any way. I ended up being a writer who writes about horror, so I think I did okay from it. Yeah, and I just maybe it depends on the person and the time at which you grew up. I think there's more choice now, so you can be discerning. Like I'm very slowly leading him through like chapter books and stuff now because there's so much choice. Like I don't have to push him onto Goosebumps, say, which I don't think he's ready for.
Yeah.
Because there's Amelia Fang and there's Isadora Moon and there's other things that lead a spooky child down that path.
Yeah. There's definitely more now than what
Yeah.
we had growing up.
Yeah, like there's a series called, have you heard of Beast Quest? I don't know whether they have that in
No.
Canada, and maybe it's a UK thing. There are hundreds of them, and I'm not even exaggerating. And it's called Adam Blade, the author, but apparently they're ghostwritten, so it's just loads of different authors wrote Beast Quest. So like multiple, and I don't know whether they're still coming out, but I've just read him his first 2 of those, and he loves them. I'm like, oh, this could go on for years. Like I found a book that he's going to be able to read to himself. So whereas he could have got to a point where he could have got to 10 and be like, I've genuinely run out of books. Like even reading Beast Quest could take him beyond 10. So I think it is probably easier now to filter what children read because you can say, here's Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Oh, you've read that. Here's Loki. And then you can kind of lead them through. Whereas I would have just picked up Adrian Mole when I don't know whether you have that. That was like a kind of coming of age book for like tweens. I probably read it when I was 8 or something just because I ran out of reading material. So I ended up reading a book about a teenage boy, you know. So yeah, I think it's easier for modern parents if they choose to be discerning about what their kids are exposed to. And I am to some extent, but also if a YouTuber comes on and I'm like, this seems okay, I'm just going to see where it goes. And every now and again, I'm like, whoa, no, we're turning this. And I just tell him, like the other day, a YouTuber swore and I thought it was one that was okay. And I just turned around and said to him, they just said the word, you're not allowed to say that. I didn't like that word. So we're turning that off. And he was like, okay. And I turned it off and that was it. So it's kind of a learning experience for everybody, I think. Oh yeah, Kev's found Amanda's cosplay as Gary Oldman's Dracula. So I'll put it in the chat so that in the next sprint you can all enjoy Amanda making you feel, you know, things that you maybe didn't know you were going to feel looking at a woman dressed as Dracula, but you're welcome. She does a very good job. I haven't watched any Percy Jackson, Paul. I'm so behind. Help. Where do I watch it? Which version? I'm so lost because to me, the Percy Jackson movies are Percy Jackson. So I'm so behind with everything. We are doing that currently. Like I'm in the throes. Have you watched Wednesday, Elizabeth?
I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second yet because we don't have Netflix, but I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, it's one of those series that it's continued being good. Like I don't know, as I'm watching it, I'm like, I can't tell if they want this to be like for younger people, like if they want it to be like a middle grade book equivalent, or whether they want it to be scary. So that's my only thing. I'm a bit like push and pull with who this is for, but then I just suspend all disbelief and just get sucked into it again. And like the cast are really good. I really like Jenna Ortega as Wednesday. I think she does a really good job. And I like Enid. I don't know why Stephen agrees with you, but I agree with you as well. It's something you said was solid, I'm sure. Yeah, I did the same, Chloe. I really loved The Conjuring, and I'm now questioning, like, have I seen any of the other films? Did I try and watch the second one? I don't know, because I think it's the one with the couple, isn't it? With Rose Byrne, is she called?
No, that's Insidious. So the other one is
Insidious.
The other it's Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga playing the Warrens. And it's funny because
I don't think I've seen it. Are they the Warrens? Really? As in are they the real people? The Warrens, like the kind of.
Yeah.
How did I not know? Okay, I've totally combined those things in my mind. I didn't realize they were.
Wilson and Rose Byrne are Insidious, which
is okay.
Which is like made up. It's fictional.
Yeah.
But James Wan also used Patrick Wilson and then Vera Farmiga in the Conjuring universe. And I do enjoy most of the movies, not all of them.
Sorry, Kev's asking now. What was that?
Which of the two is always a devil playing the piano?
Where is a devil playing the piano? I don't remember this at all. I don't think
neither.
Probably neither.
That's Insidious, the devil playing.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I don't think I think we've seen Insidious 1 and 2. I don't think we've seen The Conjuring at all. Did you see that a comedian has bought the Warrens' house?
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm really I saw a TikTok of him.
The funny thing is, because the Warrens became really famous after the Conjuring movies came out, but, like, I've been following them, like, since I was a kid, and I know, like, all these stories, and I think that's why some of the later ones that they did, it veers so far from the real story that I'm like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, why didn't you just tell the real thing? But, I don't know, like, people buying their museum and, like, taking Annabelle on tours and stuff, and, like, no, just don't take her out of the
No.
box, just leave
Well,
her.
no, this is it, right? I watched his video and it sounded like he meant quite well. And he was like, I wanted, people to learn about this and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you are the start of a horror film right now. Like, you literally are
Mhm.
opening the box of something like actually real. Like, it's not just a horror film. These are real people, like, that have really studied this stuff. I need to read more about the real people. And yeah, I didn't realize that they were separate things. I've totally just always thought they were the same thing in my head. So I'm going to go watch The Conjuring. Maybe not now because it's late in the UK and I'm going to give myself nightmares, but I'm going to add it to the list of stuff. I just watched Megan for the first time the other day. I watched it
Oh,
on the
I
plane.
still haven't seen it. I still haven't
I
seen it.
enjoyed it. It started off where I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that a little girl suffers a bereavement, and I was like, "Oh no, this is not the film for me." Like I've erred in my judgment. I'm going to turn this off. And then I just kept watching it and kept watching it, and actually, again, because it handled it in a certain way, I was like, "I'm okay." But I thought it was really good. However, Nathan was sitting next to me for parts of it, and at any time I got an inkling of something scary, I fast forwarded it. And he wasn't looking at the screen. He was watching Minecraft, but I was like, I can't risk this. If he glances up at the wrong moment, he's going to see something bad. And all the bad was pretty fleeting because like Megan would do something and then it kind of be over. And I was like, okay, if I can just catch this moment. So all the kind of good bits I fast forwarded. So I need to watch it full gore version at some point. Yeah, well, clearly I didn't even know it was a thing, Chloe. Like I've just confused myself and thought it was Insidious because of Patrick Wilson being in it. I mean,
It can get confusing because he's in both.
yeah, can I just blame, like, I was a new parent at the time, or like probably pregnant or something, and I think that I just like, oh yeah, you agree, Stephen agrees with you about Buffy, I think, like about the reboot and
Yeah.
stuff. Honestly, Paula, for real, like,
Yep.
there's very few things that I feel as strongly about as The Crow, and I do really like The Crow. It's not my absolute favorite, but I just think there's something so special about the whole thing of that you just need to not touch it. Yeah, 100%.
Some things are sacred for sure.
Yeah. So the new like carrying on Doctor Who. I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, so I don't know how people feel about that. But like that keeps being obviously reinvented each time. Yeah. So so many films I've seen recently, like one with Josh Hartnett in that was a horror like thriller film, and one with Mark Wahlberg in, where the trailer of each showed the twist, and then I ended up not going to see the film at the cinema and waiting for it to come on TV because I was like, well, I already know the whole reason to go and see this film.
There was one that came out earlier this year called Companion, and it was
Oh
the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah, yeah,
They gave the twist away in the trailer,
yeah.
and I'm like, why would you do that?
And you know what? I thought that was a really good film, and if I'd not known what I did know going into it, I think I'd have enjoyed it even more. So it's really
Mhm.
annoying. Um, there's like whole moments of that I thought were really, really good and creative, but the advert just gave too much. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
to go to Dark Universe first, Stephen, if you ever got the opportunity, if you're able, because it just has such a good feel of like Universal monsters, particularly like it's like a certain vision of Frankenstein and Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein. Who else was in there? Oh, like Creature in the Black Lagoon. There was like merch for each of the characters. So of course I was all over like Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, like they were my bits. And I got like a really nice Dracula purse and a Bride of Frankenstein notebook. I could have bought just everything in the shop. There was a werewolf costume and it was a little furry like jumper and then these little ripped shorts and and I'd got no room. And at this point I'd already bought a Sam costume and a little werewolf like hood thing with the ears on. And it was like amazing, so much stuff, really, really good. Yeah, I don't understand it at all. This is why I don't read book blurbs. Often when I'm on YouTube, I'm like, I picked this book up because I was told there are vampires in it. I'm not going to read the blurb because I'm scared to tell me the whole thing. Like I'm really careful with my blurbs. I didn't write my blurb for They Own the Night, and I did tweak the publisher's one a little but I was really keen to make sure it didn't give too much away because I wrote the meaner ones myself, so I gave away as much as I wanted to give away. Because sometimes you read the back and you're like, oh, okay, so this is the whole plot of the book condensed, and I know it all, you know. Yeah, same as me, Paula. I think we're similar age, and yeah, I think that's why we got away with it because we just yeah, same. My friend showed me. I don't even think we watched all of Candyman, but it was at that age because I was in year 7, so I would have been 12. Um, and my friend Emma showed me it, and I had nightmares about bees after that.
A good one.
Oh man, see, it just opened, I think, when we were there. I was really lucky. I think it literally just opened though, and it had been a bit picked over, but I got to have the experience. There is the cosplay of Amanda. Fly free and watch it on Instagram. Have fun. Yeah, I never studied Dracula, so I just discovered it myself. Oh, and then there's one on TikTok. Thank you, Kev. Kev's got our backs. Yeah, see, I've only seen little clips of him come up on Facebook doing his comedy, and he seems to be good at what he does in that regard. I didn't know about the ghost hunting and stuff. So when that TikTok popped up, I was like, oh, I hope you know what you've just done. I really hope you understand what you've let yourself into. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that space. I'm a little bit scared for him, I have to admit. Like, genuinely, I did watch it and get like a chill and think, this sounds really bad. Like, there's gonna be a news story follow up to this, and it's just not. As long as it's handled carefully, it could be fine, but I don't know. It's scary, isn't it? I'm like literally bringing up a tab now about like, what is there a good book that I can read about the Warrens? Like, is there a non-fiction introduction to the subject?
Well, they've written a lot of their own books, but let me see if I can find something for you, Amy.
Thank you.
Because like I said, I've been keeping up with them since I was a kid. So let me see if I can find something that's really good. But you know what's really you can find it here on YouTube. It's called The Real Amityville Horror. And it doesn't really revolve around the Warrens, but it's more about like the DeFeos and the Amityville curse and everything. But they are part of it, and I really enjoy that one.
Okay, cool. I've just brought that up. Thank you. But yeah, I'm interested. I think I need to do a bit of a deep dive into that now. Watch The Conjuring and then kind of deep dive into them because I'd heard of them, and like when he was talking about them, I was like, the Warrens, I know about them. Like, it's kind of come up like on the periphery of my like pop cultural and real cultural awareness, but I've not really known. I know like what they're about vaguely, but that's it really. I need to learn more. Cool. I've got that Amityville Horror thing open and ready to go. Okay, let's do another sprint.
Hey, Amy, I've got to run. I got to make some bread.
Okay, go and make bread. So are you gonna go off screen and like leave it now, or are you gonna? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna peace out. But thank you so much for having me, and thank you for having me, everybody in the comments. This was way overdue.
Yes, and it's been really nice to kind of get into it about ghosts and demonologists. Is that the word?
Yeah, we need to do it more.
Like that. Yes, please do, because I love it. You know, on YouTube and on internet stuff, like you meet people who genuinely share interests that you share. Like, I don't think in real life I ever sit down and have these conversations, not with many people anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm just really appreciative that through the internet that we can really find our people and just like have these conversations. It's amazing. And one day we'll have it in real life. Either I'll come to you or you come to me and we'll do a whole thing. But
yeah.
okay. Have fun
All right.
making bread. Let me know how it goes and about the Warrens. And hopefully I'll speak to you soon. And everybody else, I'm going to do one more sprint. So this is the last one. And we'll say goodbye to Elizabeth here.
Bye, everybody.
And I'll see you later, Elizabeth, and see you all in a little bit when I finish off the sprints. Hello. I totally wasn't keeping an eye on the time, so good job I had the kitty meowing at me. Otherwise, I could have just carried on merrily Legoing. I've made, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I've made 2 sides, little hinge part of my model now. So making slow progress, but I'm happy with that. Let's just see how the comments are going, then we can wrap things up because it's getting late here in the UK. Yes, I'm sure Lizzie will. Hello, Ellie. I hope you managed to join in that last sprint. That is the last one we're going to do. Sorry if I've missed you, Chloe. Hopefully not. Night, everyone. I've had a really nice time sprinting. It was lovely to catch up with Lizzie. I'm going to do a little bit more Lego and then go to bed. And I'm going to watch it Wednesday too. So night. I hopefully see you in the next sprint. I'll try and post in plenty of time before and let you know when it's going to be. Bye.